let's talk a bit about Ron DeSantis now, because since we last spoke, I'm not sure how many points he has dropped in Republican polls in states that he needs, like Iowa. I mean, he's doing a little better in Iowa now, but he's still dozens of points behind Trump.
All of his anecdotes about people pooping on New York sidewalks are really rocketing up to 17%.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, he loves talking. He did a number 2. I mean, wow, people just love to hear about that at rallies. Meanwhile, Trump's calling Christie a fat pig.
And talk about appliances.
Yeah. Just, I mean, I'm not sure what you anticipated when he announced his presidential run and the long ramp up to doing so. On our show, I believe, like, I was pretty skeptical that he would actually win the nomination and that he'd have the ability to really take on Trump. I think Sam agreed. It's been proven right. But what's been your reaction to seeing his numbers drop like a stone like this?
I mean, it's like satisfying, but because I hate the guy, but it feels, and there are some really important differences in a post-Trump era to these prior elections, but like it feels like every 4 years we all, like, the people whose job it is to sort of do horse race coverage of Republican politics, like, find a new Bobby Jindal or whatever and treat him as like
new Scott Walker
or Scott Walker,
new Jeb Bush, I mean, even Giuliani in 08, like, right?
Yeah, but like, I think that it's important that, like, because you have the sort of Christies and Giulianis to an extent, and the guys who sort of run in the businessman middle lane, but like every 4 years, there's also someone who wins Iowa, like a Mike Huckabee, or there's someone like a Bobby Jindal who is like a red meat warrior from a red state, who are, like, especially in the early going, poll really well because conservatives, like, love these far right, usually evangelical guys. And then they always sort of wither, like they always wither when it actually comes to we haven't actually gotten to the primaries yet, but it would not surprise me if DeSantis managed to win Iowa and then, like, flamed out from there. But it also wouldn't surprise me if he flamed out well before then. But this is no one in Republican politics yet has any clue or strategy for how to deal with Trump being in the race. They just don't have any strategy for that. And so while he's in it, all you can do is embarrass yourself further as you, like, try to stay relevant. So I don't know, not like I have a campaign advice for him, but it is entertaining to watch him, flail around.
It seems ripe for sort of cultivating distrust in the Republican base, because if I'm a Trump supporter, I'm looking at every DeSantis guy being like, hey, you're, like, dependent on basically my guy getting taken down legally.
Yeah.
And don't act like that's not what you're thinking.
And he's still, and yet DeSantis, though, still won't really go at Trump.
No,
I
know.
Really won't.
And that's what I mean about none of them have any clue how to deal with Trump as long as he remains viable, because they can't even decide at the most basic level. They can't decide, like, I mean, it's the exact same dance we saw them do when Trump first ran, which is like, today we're going to like only have good things to say about Trump because we assume that he will quit and endorse us. Mm-hmm. And then or it's like, now we're gonna, like, go on the attack, which doesn't work because I personally, again, not to give Donald Trump campaign advice, but I think it's crazy that he wants to skip the debates because, like, Donald Trump debating a bunch of Republican politicians is by far the most likable Donald Trump that exists
ever.
By far. And
yeah.
That did more to win him the election than anything else besides the nomination of Hillary Clinton.
I will never forget where I was watching Ted Cruz try to go after New York City, right? And say, like, New York values and all that crap. I mean, both nasally, him and DeSantis. And Trump just got really quiet after being a trash talker the whole goddamn debate. And he goes, on 9/11, I was there. And like, well, maybe we'll find that. It was one of those moments where I was like, oh my God, like he knows exactly
Amateurs.
right. He'll attack. And then he's like invoking 9/11, just ruining his, and then he goes, and one of the greatest conservatives of all time, William F. Buckley, came out. Let's watch it, Bradley. I mean, come on. Bradley found that really quickly. Great job. I don't know. This is a bit of a throwback, obviously, but to me, this moment
pre-beard Ted trigger
Ted
warning.
Cruz.
This is Ted Cruz before he had facial hair, so you're getting it sort of without any sort of medium.
You get to see the bubble chin. What's going on there?
I think most people know exactly what New York values are.
I am from New York.
You're from New York, so you might not. But I promise you, in the state of South Carolina,
Look at Trump's face.
They do.
He's so hurt.
And listen, there are many, many wonderful, wonderful working men and women in the state of New York. But everyone understands
Goldman Sachs
that the values in New York City are socially liberal or pro-abortion or pro-gay marriage, focused around money and the media. And I guess I can frame it another way. Not a lot of conservatives come out of Manhattan. I'm just saying.
Conservatives actually do come out of Manhattan, including William F. Buckley and others, just so you understand. And New York is a great place. It's got great people. It's got loving people, wonderful people. When the World Trade Center came down, I saw something that no place on earth could have handled more beautifully, more humanely than New York.
I mean,
two 110-story buildings
there we go.
Come crashing down.
Well, just go to the end because I want to see Cruz's face. This is a bit of an edit. All right, here we go. Just go to it because Cruz's face is he does a little. He looks like he's peeing his pants.
Yeah. Saw them come down, and we saw more death, and even the smell of death. Nobody understood it, and it was with us for months. The smell, the air, and we rebuilt downtown Manhattan. And everybody in the world watched, and everybody in the world loved New York and loved New Yorkers. And I have to tell you, that was a very insulting statement that Ted made.
And so, again, I say it's insanity that he thinks he shouldn't debate.
Yep.
Like that he thinks he shouldn't debate Republicans. That he thinks he shouldn't debate Ron DeSantis.
Right.
Like all the guy
for the general, yeah.
I mean, in the general, sure. But seriously, he will.
Well, they'd love it too. I mean, I saw that DeSantis was saying today something along the lines of, you got to show up. And I think he must have a sense that he's not going to.
Yeah, if I'm DeSantis, I'm praying he is not going to show up.
Exactly.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, yes. You're right, Alex. I was kind of like, well, what's the incentive? But I mean, I feel like I want him to show up because we're going to cover the debate.
So it's funny. It's funny too because Fox. It's also clear how desperate all of them are because Ronna McDaniel is making entreaties, like begging him to show up, and he's basically not committing to her.
Yeah.
Martha McCallum, who's co-paneling it, essentially did a to the camera pitch, being like, "It's a great opportunity for you, Mr. President." Yeah. And apparently, sources told like Politico Playbook or Punchbowl, one of the two, that like. He wants to potentially go and sit in the audience.
Oh, wow. That would be a really strong power move, honestly.
They were like the debate committee and like Fox, like they're not sure if they would like let him do that or if it would be like a security nightmare. But apparently, like, he's mentioned it a few times, being like, "What if I just sat there and watched?"
Well,
them?
he has a wrestling background. He's literally going to come in with a chair.
Exactly. Like they do not. I think, and what I say, they don't know how to counter him. Like, at this point, they know what they're dealing with, but they still don't know how to counter him. No. Because this is his background. His background is entertainment. His background is talk radio and wrestling and television. And, he's just better at this than all of them are. And so, again, if I'm Ron DeSantis, I'm, hoping he does not remember that he's actually much better on television than all the rest of these guys.
Oh yeah.
God Bless the USA comes on. Oh my God, that's Donald Trump's music.
And
Oh
it would be YMCA. Wouldn't it be?
Yeah, he goes up on stage, just boots one of them out of their podium, and be like, "All right,
Remember when he
Get out of here, Burgum.
Remember when he was coming on the stage at the RNC and there was like the shadow of him and he
no,
emerged?
that was that moment like gave me like bad goosebumps in the moment because that was when Ted was there were like all this talk about Ted maybe doing something at the convention to try to take the nomination away, and Trump wasn't supposed to come out till Sunday, but he came out on Friday night to introduce his wife. Melania, and it was like first you hear the music and then you see his shadow projected onto
with that hair.
and and he came out and it was basically the message was like, Daddy's here, let's stop all the games, okay?
Yeah, right.
Right.
Um,
That was
but
going to be,
the-
God, that whole convention. That was going to be, again, like, that was going to be Ted Cruz's, like, profile in courage, and he just did nothing again. Like, he just.
Of course. I mean, for all the talk we've in the political cycles I've been sentient for, I feel like there have been 6 different storylines about convention revolts, as if we're still like living in party machine days.
Yeah.
But this is the first time in my lifetime that it's possible for the RNC, if the
Certainly,
guy's convicted, like
certainly
they're
more
actually
possible than it has been in many, many years. Yeah.
totally. And still they might have a better chance like against the Democrats if they don't do that and Trump's still on the ballot. I don't even know because his supporters would lose it. But
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, as like would make sense. I mean, it's anti-democratic, obviously, but